Hey, Alan here with DustyHikers.com, and I am doing another head-to-head shoe video today. This time with the Merrell MQM Flex 2, which if any of you have watched my channel, you know that I tested this shoe against 5 other shoes a year ago, and this is the one that I chose because it's amazing, and I've been hiking and walking in this shoe for a year. But I'm going to be sort of comparing it to the Oboz Sawtooth II Low version. This is the non-Gore-Tex or what they call B-dry version. This was one of the other shoes that I tested a year ago. All right, let's get into it. So what I'm going to do is just ask a series of questions. So if you're undecided between these two shoes, you're like, okay, well, should I get the Merrell MQM Flex 2 or the Oboz Sawtooth 2? They both look amazing. They both have really high reviews on the internet, and I'm not sure which one I should get. This video hopefully will help you decide between these two and just provide some information, some real information that I have after wearing these shoes for a year now. So the first question is, how much money do you have? Money's always a problem. It's always an issue for most of us. And so I went to rei.com, and these shoes are very comparably priced. At rei.com right now, the Oboz Sawtooth 2 is $115, which I think is a pretty good value. This is a really, really good shoe. I didn't know anything about Oboz before I purchased these a year ago, and I was pleasantly surprised. They're definitely worth $115. The Merrell MQM Flex 2 come in at $110. I want to say this is an even greater value. Again, I tested this shoe. I've been wearing these for a year, and they're absolutely amazing. I could wear these shoes for another year. So at $110, you're going to get an absolutely amazing shoe. In both cases, $115 for the Oboz or $110 for the Merrell. Okay, next question. Are you carrying a heavy backpack? If you are planning on carrying a heavy backpack on your trip, then I would say that the Oboz Sawtooth 2 is probably going to be a better choice for you. They don't have a rock plate. They don't need one. This has more like a boot type sole to it. It's very thick rubber sole, and it's just got a more support, I think. And even though it's heavier and not quite as you're not going to hike as fast in these as you will in the Merrell MQM Flex 2, you're going to have more support. So if you're carrying a heavy backpack, your feet will thank you at the end of the day, I think, if you're wearing these over the Merrell MQM Flex 2. MQM is move quickly through mountains, right? So this is a very stripped down hiking shoe that's designed for, definitely not long, heavy backpack trips, right? So it's been great for me because I don't typically go on trips like that. But if you are going to be carrying a heavy backpack, then you definitely want to go with the Oboz Sawtooth 2. Is traction on the trail important for you? I tested 5 shoes, and the Merrell MQM Flex 2 have a grippier sole than the Oboz Sawtooth 2. This is a harder rubber. It doesn't flex as much on the Oboz Sawtooth 2, and because of that, it's just not as grippy. So if you're going to be on a trail perhaps where you might come across some like rocks that are even slippery or wet, I think that the Merrell MQM Flex 2 is going to provide greater traction on the trail for you. This is Quantum Grip, this compound. I think it's from Merrell, but it performs pretty well. It doesn't perform as well as Vibram. So I tested these against a couple shoes that had Vibram on them, and they didn't do quite as well as those, but they are very grippy. And over time, I've worn these for a year, they have held up pretty well. You can see here on the outside of my heel that these lugs are a little bit lower than these. That's my foot pattern, so I have a heel strike on the outside here, but I don't feel that when I'm wearing these. So I don't feel like the right outside part of this right shoe is a lot lower. So these shoes are gonna hold up really, really well. I've been very, very happy with the soles on these shoes. How important is foot protection on the trail for you? If you're going to be sort of slightly bushwhacking or going off trail, or you know that there's going to be a lot of sharp rocks on the trail, then I would say it's probably better to go with the Oboz Sawtooth 2. There's just a lot more protection here. This is a hard plastic, sort of like almost like a rand that comes up around your heel. That's all really, really good protection. And I would say this is leather on the toe, but I think that's adequate protection. So again, this has really got a lot more boot DNA in it. And if you feel like foot protection is going to be important, especially protection underfoot, these shoes performed better than the Merrell MQM Flex 2 when I tested them. So The Merrell MQM Flex 2, unlike the Oboz Sawtooth 2, does have a rock plate. You can see it right here. So it has a sort of harder plastic plate between the outsole and the midsole. And so it does work. It is going to protect your foot, but with a beefy, thick, harder rubber sole like this, you're going to just have more protection, even with the rock plate. And it's going to perform a little bit better, I feel like. So if foot protection is important, then the Oboz Sawtooth 2, I think, would be a better choice over the Merrell MQM Flex 2. Hey, if you're finding something useful in this video and it's helping you decide which shoe you should buy, consider hitting like, and that will send this video out to more people. Thank you. Okay, second to last question. How important is comfort for you? Well, I'm happy to report that both of these shoes are extremely comfortable. This really was the most comfortable shoe of the 5 that I tested a year ago, the Merrell MQM Flex 2. Again, I wear these things all the time. I mean, almost daily on walks, walking my dog, going on hikes on the weekend. They're super, super comfortable, and a lot of people are gonna find that these are comfortable for them. I have a pretty normal foot, and these have worked out very, very well. The Oboz Sawtooth 2 are also very, very comfortable. You kind of feel like when you're wearing them, like this back portion, this upper portion of your foot is being hugged by the shoe. And Oboz said that's kind of what they're going for. So this is a very, very comfortable shoe. So I would say if comfort's important to you, either of these shoes are going to work well for you. Depends on what you want. Finally, in the last question, and perhaps the most important question, because we're hikers and so we're all very vain, especially about our gear, is looking good on the trail, is that important to you? Of course it is. It's important to all of us. In that case, I think, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but I do think, so when I first got the Oboz Sawtooth 2, I thought they looked strange. They have these weird lugs up the side, which might be sort of gimmicky. But I thought they looked strange, but they look really good on your feet. I think they have some interesting, very unique styling. And so I don't think they look bad, not like I did when I first got them. I was kind of questioning Oboz's style choices. The Merrell MQM Flex 2, it's not gonna win any beauty contests. It's pretty run-of-the-mill normal. This color that I got, I think it was slate or something like that, and it's just all gray. So it's not flashy or beautiful. These shoes are not gonna wow people on the trail. They're not gonna say, ooh, look at those shoes, those are amazing. I would say these two are also a toss-up on looks, right? They don't get really high scores from me on styling, but they're not ugly. They're definitely not ugly. All right, that is another quick video on 2 shoes, comparing them. Hopefully you found this video interesting and useful.